Porsche is about to kill the petrol-powered Macan and replace it with this, the fully electric version, which does have a significantly higher price tag, but it is a very, very good electric SUV. I'm going to tell you all about it in this review, so if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell, and let's get to it. Pricing for the Macan Electric range starts $33,000 higher than the existing petrol models. Seems like a very, very big jump up in terms of price, but it is an all-new car on a new architecture with huge battery packs, and I'll tell you all about the battery specs and details, driving range, all that stuff shortly, and none of them are underpowered. Let me tell you that before we get to it. The entry-level version is called Macan. It's just under $130,000. It's the only rear-wheel drive model in the lineup, and it gets the good stuff that you would expect, including adaptive suspension dampers. You've also got keyless entry and start, LED lights, and a surround view camera. There's electric seat adjustment with memory settings, and plenty more. Then there's this model here, which is the Macan 4. It adds all-wheel drive to the equation, so it's not rear-wheel drive like the base model. It adds a front-mounted electric motor in addition to the rear-mounted motor, and it is a bit quicker as well. It's got more power and torque, which we'll cover off shortly, but otherwise is mostly identically specified. And then up from there is the Macan 4S. Now, it's probably going to be the sweet spot for a lot of people in this market, and I think that it does offer a fair bit of grunt for the cash. You'll see the price for it on your screen now. That 4S scores matrix LED headlights, a Bose sound system, no-cost exterior paint colors inclusive up to the Dreams range. There's also a panoramic sunroof and quad-zone climate control too. And at the very, very top of the range is the Macan Turbo, which has four-wheel steering. It's got heaps more power and torque. In fact, it's manic in terms of the amount of grunt that vehicle has. But I'll tell you about the drive experience of the Macan Turbo later on compared to the 4 that I'm in right now, and you might be surprised by the findings. So if you want to, you can skip ahead, or I'll tell you some good alternatives that you might want to consider. So you want a coupe SUV, you want it to be electric and European, go and have a look at the Cupra Tavascan. That model is a fair bit more affordable than this, and it is still a very spacious and stylish big SUV, plenty of room on the inside, a big boot, and heaps of EV driving range as well. A couple of different versions of that model available, including a performance one if you really, really want it. So it could be a fantastic walk-up option for an alternative to this because, hey, yeah, much, much lower pricing is promised, sub $80,000 for the top spec all-wheel drive. So it could be a really, really good alternative to this. Otherwise, if you're looking for a luxury branded vehicle, what about the Q6 e-tron from Audi? It's mechanically related to this. It has some similar powertrains, some very, very interesting technology, a beautiful interior, and it's about the same size as this as well. So it could be a really good choice for you, and it costs a whole lot less at the entry-level grade, and the high-spec version, the SQ6 e-tron, does have heaps and heaps of grunt. Not as much as the turbo version of the Macan, but still going to be a very good choice for people who are looking for a luxury sporty SUV. And if you're not sold on the idea of a fully electric model and you do want a Porsche, well, you could get a plug-in hybrid Porsche Cayenne for similar money to a mid-spec version of the Macan. It's a bigger vehicle and you can live electric part-time and have a petrol engine as a backup when you need it. So it could be a good option for you if you're not completely sold on the whole idea of fully electric life. And I can understand why, because the infrastructure in Australia still is a little bit undesirable in some situations. So tell me which one of those you would pick, or is there an alternative that I haven't called out that you would recommend? Let us know in the comments. What do you think about the look of this new generation Macan? It is bigger than the previous one. It has a longer wheelbase. It's got more of a coupe style profile, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm not a coupe SUV kind of guy, but I think this one is gorgeous. They've really nailed the brief when it comes to the design, and yes, it does have the expected elements at the back. LED lights, which aren't on right now because, well, the car's off. But let's check out the boot space. You've got a boot button down there next to the camera. Let's have a look at the space on offer in here. It is a very roomy boot. You'll see the cargo capacity number on your screen, and it does have a good amount of usability to the back. Obviously, that's your charging cable bag. You might want to put that under the bonnet, because there is a frunk, which I'll show you shortly. And you've also got a netted section on the side here. There are lights in the back too, and there's a shopping bag hook on this side, another light on that side, and another netted section too. And underneath the boot floor, there is no spare wheel, there's a subwoofer instead. You do get a tyre repair kit, and that might be a consideration for some, but I think that the space and usability of the boot is not too bad at all. So this is what it looks like to sit in the driver's seat of the new generation Macan Electric. And I have to say, I love some elements of it. Some other bits I'm not so sure on. I don't know that you need a screen in front of the passenger. I was trying to look at it yesterday as a passenger and made me feel a bit sick. But it is just something that adds some wow factor to the interior, because it is otherwise relatively traditional. And I love that about it. I think it really lives up to the Porsche ethos in terms of what an interior should look and feel like. You've got pretty traditional steering wheel here. Yes, it does have a drive mode controller there. You've got a cruise control stalk down there, and that little button at the bottom where I'm putting my finger there, that's your lane assistance feature. That's how you turn it off. You need to hold it down and that will turn off. You've got adaptive cruise control through that stalk as well. The controls on the steering wheel more generally, very easy to get your head around. Relatively good stalks. Yeah, you've got your wipers on one side, your high beam and your blinkers on that side. You've also got lights down there if you ever need to adjust the lights. Most people just leave them on auto, and there's a power button there if you want to turn the car off or on. It will do that automatically for you. Otherwise, you've got a nice big screen in front of the steering wheel as well. Good at a glance design, so you can quickly see how much range you've got left and your speed as well, and the speed limit of where you are. And I think that this is a nice design, because in the Taycan, which I've driven in the past, I found it hard to see all of that instrument cluster, but in this instance, you can see everything. Now, over on this screen, yes, it is a very complex display, because there are lots and lots of different menus and controls available to you. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly. You've got sat-nav built in if you want it, so that's nice to see. And we'll go back to the home screen, scroll across. There's heaps and heaps of different menus available to you using this screen. And there's also things like YouTube. You can check the weather, so long as you've got a connection to the internet, which we probably don't have right now. And you've also got Formula Rush, which is a car racing game, in case you're wondering. I don't know. I think these things are cute if you are just sort of trying to maybe go and charge and wait for your car to be charged up. But I'm not going to be playing a game in this video, people. There's karaoke. I'm not going to be doing that either. So look, you do get used to this screen pretty quickly. And I love, absolutely love the fact that you've still got conventional controls down here for your climate settings. So if you want to, you can jump into the climate menu by hitting the button there, and that will bring this screen up for you, so you can adjust things on the screen if you want to. But there's also just adjustable fan speed here. Yes, there are two different fans, so one for the passenger, one for the driver. There's dual zone climate control as well. You got seat heating buttons too, and all of it comes together pretty nicely. There's also a steering wheel heating button. You just have to hit the button behind there and it will show you up there that the steering wheel heating is on, which is a nice thing to have. And I think that this generally is a really beautiful cabin. Up above, you've got the expected illuminated vanity mirrors. You've got this nice panoramic glass roof in this particular car. Looks very, very good. And I think that it adds a bit of wow factor when you have that open, because the dark headliner is not to everyone's taste, including mine. But I do love the interior trim of this particular car. Who knows if it's standard or an optional extra, but it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it feels lovely. These seats are excellent, super comfortable and supportive, nicely adjustable, and the interior trim just generally is excellent. You also get memory settings for the passenger seat, which is kind of cool as well. Storage, yeah, plenty of that. Big cup holders down here. There's a big tray below there, so you can store loose items. You've got a wireless phone charger up there. That can be covered up if you don't want to see your phone for whatever reason. And there's also a center console bin with bottle holders in the doors, if I didn't already mention that. So all of this comes together beautifully. This is a lovely cabin design and I really, really like it. But let's check out the back seat space and see what it's like. Okay, so straight off the bat, I will say this. The seats ahead do take up a lot of your forward view. So if you have a kiddo or any sort of backseat rider that maybe is prone to car sickness, it's not the best view out from here. And the window sills are a little high too. So if you do have a little one in a child seat, maybe it won't be perfect. But for adults, in terms of the space, yeah, I've got plenty. This seat is set for my driving position. I'm 182 centimeters, 6 foot. Yep. Plenty of leg room there, decent amount of foot room and headroom. Yeah, if you're much taller than me, you might find it to be a bit tight, and the coupe style roofline does cut in a little bit, so just keep that in mind. You do have ISOFIX points and top tethers, as you would expect. There's a flip down armrest with cup holders too. You got bottle holders in the doors, no mat pockets, but you do have this climate control panel here, so you can adjust the temperature, the fan speed, the direction as well. All of that is very, very nice. Of course, you've got the directional air vents there. There's a pair of USB-C ports, but this console area does take up quite a bit of space there. So it's probably better considered a 4-seater rather than a 5-seater. And I think that's going to be okay for this market. I don't think you're necessarily buying this as a family car primarily, or maybe you are. Let me know in the comments section. And up here, there's also some little lights on the side, and you've got grab handles in the back as well for when mum or dad is driving too quick. All right, that's not bad, is it? So not much to see under the bonnet apart from a massive storage area where you could put bags, you could put your charge cables, you could put all sorts of different things. It's a very, very handy amount of space. And in terms of the powertrain options, so there are obviously a few different numbers that you need to know for the Macan model range. The entry-level Macan, you'll see the numbers for it on your screen. It's the only rear-wheel drive model on sale right now. You can have it as a Macan 4 with all-wheel drive, which is this one right here. Adds more power, more torque, an extra electric motor, and all-wheel drive, of course. Then you've got the Macan 4S, which is more powerful again. Yes, 380 kilowatts, 820 newton meters. That's going to be plenty of grunt for most people, I would say. Or you could go for the Macan Turbo, which you'll see on your screen now. It's got 470 kilowatts and 1130 newton meters. Yet all-wheel drive, as you would hope. And I'll put some numbers on your screen now for the performance figures. So Macan and Macan 4 are on your screen now. And now I'll show you what the Macan 4S and Macan Turbo can do 0 to 100 in. Bloody quick, all of them. Let's talk range and charging though. This car aims to overcome some of the concerns around charge port location because it has chargers on both sides of the car. So you've got an AC on that side, DC and AC on that side. So we'll go to that side and have a look. It does open electrically, so let's have a little squeeze at what it looks like. Yes, there you go. So you've got AC at a maximum rate of 11 kilowatts for the Macan E range. And yes, you do have a very, very, very fast DC charging rate as well. 270 kilowatts maximum DC charge, which is excellent. And yes, you'll see the charge times on your screen. It will do the 10 to 80% thing very, very quickly from a rapid charger. And if you're wondering about the EV driving range for these models, I'll put all 4 numbers on your screen now. Those are very, very impressive figures because it's got such a big battery pack. 95 kilowatt hours of net usable battery capacity. Very, very big battery pack for this car. Apologies for the rain noise, people. It is pissing down, and it has been for a very long time here in Queensland. There was 150 millimeters of rain last night, so yes, the roads are very wet, and it's a good opportunity to see what the Macan 4 is all about. I'm not driving the rear-wheel drive model as part of this launch drive in Queensland. It's just the Macan 4 and the Turbo. Actually, let me talk about the Turbo first. I drove it yesterday. The weather was a lot more agreeable at that time, and it is undeniably very, very quick, but it doesn't feel like as pure a drive experience in my opinion because of the 4-wheel steering system, which does have this tendency to feel too darty and not natural when you're trying to change direction in corners, and even at lower speeds it doesn't feel quite as I guess natural feeling as this car does. This is the Macan 4 and it is beautiful. It is a delight to drive and it has a much more pure sort of feeling to it as well. The other thing about the Turbo is it's got the air suspension setup. This car doesn't. It's got adaptive dampers, but it doesn't have air suspension, and that is to its credit as well. For a driving enthusiast, for someone who likes a pure drive, I think that you don't need to consider the Turbo model. I mean, it is 185 grand compared to this one, which is considerably less, but this is much more Porsche-like in my opinion. It is a really, really joyful drive experience. Pure steering, delightful handling, really great balance in corners. That Macan 4 all-wheel drive system is absolutely potent in terms of kicking you away from a standstill or powering out of a corner. There's heaps of traction, heaps of grip, and it is just brilliant. Just brilliant. Like, I got out of the Turbo yesterday going, I don't know about this car. This car though, this is exactly what I was hoping the new Macan would feel like. And it's bloody excellent. Of course, there are different drive modes. I've just been driving mainly in normal, but I've just put it into sport, which initiates the sound system to make some strange electrified noises and makes it a lot more potent feeling when you throttle. It is certainly a very, very quick car, and yes, it's super quick. I mean, you can get quicker, obviously, if you choose the highest spec model. It will be a faster EV if that's what you want, but honestly, so many EVs are so fast, I don't think it really matters all that much anyway. I think this is more than adequate in terms of the amount of grunt. Let's just put it into Sport Plus and see if it makes even more difference. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Wow, wow, okay, yeah. So I don't think you need more than this. In fact, this is more than adequate. So there's plenty of performance on offer here, although maybe not as much character as some of the other vehicles that have come before it from the Porsche brand. I mean, that is a thing that you have to deal with electric vehicles. They just don't have the same sort of soul. Some things you need to consider though, like a lot of electric vehicles that are relatively silent in a lot of situations, there is some noticeable road noise. That's because you don't have any engine noise to contend with otherwise. And also, I will say that the safety systems, for the most part, are pretty good, but the lane keeping system is a little bit too assertive for my liking, and it also has a head-up display illustration, which actually is quite confronting, and the head-up display also moves like when you're cornering, and it makes me feel a little bit motion sick. So I'm sure there's probably a way to disable that, but the fact that the numbers are constantly moving across the windscreen in front of you, yeah, not great in my opinion. But I guess if you just want the Porsche brand and you want an electric SUV, you could do a whole lot worse than this. This is excellent, this car. Okay, let's talk about efficiency for this model then. There are 4 different numbers that you need to know about the entire Macan range when it comes to the claimed efficiency figures. I'll put the Macan and the Macan 4 on your screen first, and then I'll put the 2 higher spec models which have more power, and yes, they do have a slightly higher efficiency figure. Not incredibly high though, considering this is a relatively heavy, large-ish SUV with heaps and heaps of power. Most other all-wheel drive SUVs, well, you're looking at 20 kilowatt hours per 100 plus in terms of the official figures. Now, if you're wondering what I've seen, I did pay attention to the Turbo yesterday, and obviously there was some spirited driving then, but yes, you'll see the number for it that I saw on your screen. And I'll also now throw up the number that I've seen in the Macan 4. Yeah, a little bit better because, well, it's not quite as powerful and I haven't been hooning quite as much. So tell me what you think about those numbers in the comment section. There's no applicable safety rating for the new Macan just yet at the time I'm filming this, which is November 2024, and it does have all the standard safety tech and spec that you would expect in order to achieve a high rating. Things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. There's also lane keeping and emergency lane keeping assistance. You've got blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, a really good camera system, parking sensors, and adaptive cruise control as well. And all of that seems to work pretty well. I have to say, the lane keeping assistance is mainly the thing that annoyed me during my drive. It doesn't have a frustrating speed sign recognition system, although it does have speed sign notification on the screen. It doesn't beep and bong at you. I like that about this car. When it comes to airbags, there are 8 fitted to this vehicle, including rear side airbags, which is unusual for the market and kind of good to see. In Australia, Porsche offers a 3-year unlimited kilometre warranty. That is not as good as some of the other luxury brands out there, which offer 5 years, pretty much as standard across the board these days. So that could factor into your decision-making process. Keep in mind, it also comes with an 8-year warranty for the battery pack, as you would expect. Most vehicles that are fully electric do have an 8-year battery warranty. And when it comes to your servicing, because there are fewer moving parts, it's every 2 years and 30,000 Ks for each service. So fewer moving parts means less maintenance required, but I can't tell you whether it'll cost less because I don't have the pricing for the servicing just yet. The new Macan is a fantastic luxury electric vehicle. I think it stands out from the crowd in terms of the design, and it does have the Porsche badge, of course. And I think I would choose the Macan 4 if I was picking one of these, because it just stacks up really well in terms of the drive experience, and it feels more true to the existing Macan mindset than the Turbo does. It just feels a bit too fast and contrived. But tell me what you think about it in the comments section below. Which one would you pick, or would you choose something different? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.